Hello and welcome to Sintopia, a glorious game of two deeply connected halves. Up top here, we have the Overworld, where we'll cast magical spells and influence the lives of these glorious little dudes, and down below, here in Hell, we're in charge, and sinful souls need to be processed in a devilishly industrial manner. If you'd like to try it out for yourself, you can. Sintopia is running a free public playtest from November 28th through December 3rd. So if you like what you see here as I jump into this preview video, well, you can try it out for yourself, or chuck it on your wishlist using the link in the description. Thank you so much to Team 17, the publishers of the game, for giving me an early look at Sintopia and for sponsoring this video. Without any further ado, let's roll. And we're going to start here at the main menu, where really you, in this build, only have two options. Firstly, a tutorial, and secondly, a challenge mode. Inside of the tutorial, you'll find a very good, very useful introduction to the game. It doesn't take too long, half an hour, maybe an hour, depending on your playtime, but ultimately, I would recommend it. For this video though, let's take a look at the challenge modes. This is the nuts and bolts of the game. And before we even jump in, we're met with, frankly, a lot of great roguelike and customizable options. Firstly, we need to select a mandate with a main objective. You could think of this as a victory condition, the ultimate reward being a prestige currency to, at some point, I imagine, spend on upgrades. Moreover, there are size of the world modifiers to the dangerous things within it, or the good stuff, as well as overall difficulty that can be changed. The truly roguelike and customizable elements come in here with these active boons. You can choose a role model. In this build, there are now 4. And as you progress and unlock extra benefits, you'll be able to chuck them in. Benefits, though, of course, is not quite true, because these have both benefits and drawbacks, and they will significantly shape your game. Though, it's important to note, you might not understand a lot of the stuff here. Sin resistance. What's a sin? Well, broadly you might understand that part. But moreover, who are the little humus, the hummus? Well, they're our dudes. And what the heck is going on with the rest of these benefits? I think it's probably time we take a closer look at the actual game, so let's jump in. Firstly, we'll take a look at the Underworld, Hell. This is where we're in charge, and this is where you'll see a lot of the simulation, management, almost factory building-like elements playing out. Our goal here is to build a facility to process souls, to cleanse them of their sins, perhaps, and send them back to the overworld. Our buildings, which will do that, are staffed by a series of populations, from management types down to worker types. Here, our devils, our imps, also have really key metrics like work speed, break time, and upkeep cost that all need to be factored in when you're choosing who to hire to staff your buildings. The key starting one, the Omni-Sin Doctor, will be used to treat the sins of souls. Other buildings, like the Hell Pit Show, can be used to generate a currency that we'll use to spend on spells in the overworld. A little bit more on that later on, though. Let's keep focusing down here for another minute or so. The other key part of early infrastructure will be to make sure that our employees are well taken care of. This could include placing decorations to motivate them a little further, or provide them with facilities like a restroom or a break room so that they can, indeed, rest up at the end of their shift, whatever that time period may be. We really want to make sure that we keep on top of our upkeep down the bottom left here, paid each day, for if we don't, our employees will go on strike, and that is good for no man. Finally, there are some nice aesthetic decorations here too. But hey, who are these souls? Let's turn our attention to the overworld, where the little humus, kind of like humans, are living their wee lives. One of them randomly will be selected the leader, and they will bring their own alterations. These alterations have a massive impact on how the overworld will develop and live, and the kind of sins that you'll find. Each humu will also have their own little sim graph here, so you can track exactly which dastardly behaviors are increasing, and maybe treat them in the underworld. More on that as we move through. For now, I'm going to use some administrative magic, powered by one of the currencies generated in Hell, to, to put the game in slow motion and send a dude flying. Sometimes you have to enjoy the little things. Hey, but this also serves a purpose as well. See that blue soul racing its way to the cemetery, waiting to be picked up by the Reaper bus? Well, yeah. That's one way how we can collect souls and send them back down for reprocessing, repurposing, and re-establishing. We can track our soul count, by the way, down the bottom right here. We also have other ways to influence the world, for while we're not in charge, we definitely have a massive sway. Here, some of my dudes are going out to explore. They will slowly, gradually expand out, fighting greater enemies, collecting more resources, and maybe finding some goodies for me to collect as well. These soldiers, by living their soldiering lifestyle, will also develop certain sins, certain behaviors. In this case, all of these guys are rather envious as they spend their days fighting and claiming new land while others simply laze around back home. This is true for any Humu, the Humus people, indeed. Here, these doctors generate pride while they work. We need them to prevent soul rot of corpses, which could lead to a zombie outbreak, but we also need to try and treat that specific sin. More broadly, we'll be able to influence the world using our administrative magic to pick up rewards as our people go out and expand. At nighttime, they may choose to, procreate. Or perhaps our cultists, influenced by, indeed, our influence, may go out, leave us offerings, try and find new members, whatever we have them set to try and do. Finally, of course, you can't help but just cast a few spells and generate a few extra souls. Important to note that some souls are different than others. Demons will corrupt the world if sins are left untouched, and these saints won't make us any money, though they will be very good at what they do here in the overworld. Later in the video, we'll talk about how we can support them more. Of course, we also have our magic, which we could use to punish them. Very fun to do, right? Create some souls, generate some more for the resurrection pool later on. But actually, there's another way that you could use this, if you choose to be a little more benevolent. For your people will live their lives. Part of that, again, will be exploration, and you might want to use your magical spells to try and protect them. The temple will act as the heart. It's where our ruler will spend their days lounging around, and it's also where raiding parties will try and strike you down. You could be a little more benevolent. Maybe choose to provide some healing rain to keep your soldiers healthy and alive, or use it to put out the many fires that may or may not spread as a result of conflict. Stepping back a little bit from the actual game itself, this also provides a really nice balance. In the underworld, we're almost building a factory, management-like, trying to get this sort of devilishly efficient processing. Up here, we have more of a real-time strategy role, of course fueled by unlocks in the underworld, more and more spells becoming available. We don't directly control the buildings here, but we have a great overarching influence on how they may choose to grow, and of course, more importantly, getting down into the detail, which monster we may choose to zap while it's swimming in a river. For now, though, let's return actually back to the underworld, because spells, like a lot of things, are fueled by a very deep unlock system, and that is fueled by purifying souls. So let's spend a couple of minutes talking about dastardly progression down here. What happens to these souls? Why are we treating them? And how does it work? Well, one thing to note as you begin, there may be certain map elements you might want to avoid or really push toward. In this case, I'm sending my souls through a rather lengthy path, perhaps irritating them a bit along the way, but it's making me a lot of money. Another way to potentially make money or speed up the efficiency of the process is by upgrading your employees. They unlock new traits, both good and bad, often with positives and negative effects. These are really interesting. It'll increase their cost, unless you choose to make them a bit of a loser. Overall, they'll be able to pick up 5 traits, and that will affect their skills, how well they work, how often they work. It's fundamental to the efficiency of a broader hellscape as you begin to, say, buy new tiles, treat new sins. Looking around the map a little bit, we also see ways to influence the world above us as we progress and unlock new things. Here, one of my favorite buildings, let's take a look at Carl Lennon, who is the current worker inside of this facility. We'll give him a little bit of an upgrade, check in on his statistics to make sure he's not failing too often, and his overall work history, before finally stepping back and taking a look at the broader building. This is the humanitarian foundation. And here we can choose to send either materials or food up to the overworld to support their growth. Again, not directly building their structures, but supporting their growth. We'll also develop a broader hellish administrative infrastructure down here, including impish resources to reduce the overall upkeep of the hellscape, as well as a break room where people can relax unless I choose to prod them a little bit and send them back to work. Almost all of these upgrades, buildings, better roads, for faster movement, etc., will be fueled by the game's research tree. The unlocks, progression, knowledge, whatever you want to call it. This administratum of unlocks and benefits found in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen is split into 5 different pages. 5 different areas where you can rank up and spend a very crucial currency. The currency of mostly purified souls on extra unlocks. This will allow you to specifically treat extra sins. If people become a deviant, you'll need the specific sinologist to treat them. It also allows you to customize, transfer, or fix in place certain sins. This is a very powerful unlock tree, and if you don't want to spend to unlock specific spells, all of the technologies, right, buildings, etc., you can also get these sort of generic benefits on the left-hand side. The right-hand side, though, is probably where you'll want to look at first. Buildings like the Accreditation Office, or the Omni-Sin Combobulator, or finally, this facility can be used to process, change, or lock in specific sins. And by monitoring your economy, population, cult, overworld, etc. more broadly, using the statistics handily down the bottom right-hand side of the screen next to the administratum, you'll be able to get a really good feel for what you need to do. All of these unlocks will be fueled by this currency down the bottom left here, achieved when a soul is resurrected with a low sinometer, 42 sin or less. So, as they're resurrected, and as we unlock better buildings and infrastructure to try and really cater to the specific sinful needs of our people here in the overworld, let's turn to my final section. How do we process these sinful souls? Well, largely it's thanks to our industrious, devilish workforce down here. One of the great things that you'll almost always have unlocked straight away by default is the Souls Dispatcher. This little sorting tool allows souls to enter, be scanned, and be filtered out through up to 3 different directions. Here I'm setting them to say, hey, if you are gluttonous, head this way. If you're not, carry on straight ahead. The gluttonous souls will then be connected to specific doctors, tailored to treat their gluttonous sins here on the right-hand side. 2 facilities enabled, so I can filter out these specific sinners and treat that very specific need. Now, as this industry and administration develops, we're probably going to want to look to treat multiple needs, right? Many different types of doctors available. And this can lead to very large, almost soul supply chains, filtering people off if a certain sin is too high and treating it on the fly before they are resurrected. This will ensure that their sinometer is kept relatively low and the overall level of unlocks, my overall progression speed, kept fairly high by ensuring that souls cannot leave until they are appropriately treated down here. These tools, like the basic dispatcher, working your way out through extra infrastructure, can also be used to farm certain types of soul, certain sins, keep people here, rolling through to generate faith coins, to cast your administrative magic in the overworld, or make a bit of extra cash. Process them too heavily, they may become saints, and they won't make you any more money moving forward. You'll need to drive them corrupt by keeping them here. And further unlocks, like the very powerful Dark Altar here, surrounding nearby souls with absolute dread. This will help them walk faster, though it will ruin the motivation of my employees. So maybe I want to place a giant motivational tool to keep them working efficiently. This is about balance, and you can choose to play it either or both ways. Ultimately, this has just been an early build, but one thing that has struck me above all else is the roguelike glory that it offers. No 2 playthroughs will be the same, and that's thanks to all sorts of things. From the minor seeming details like how you choose to upgrade your employees, out to the big, massive game setup details, like which active boons you choose to use. Remember these from the start? Well now, taking another look at them, you might understand just how impactful they can be to the kinds of sins that you will develop or not develop, and how just one challenge mode playthrough might play out. More broadly, the scale of the stuff that we've discussed in this early build, I think is super impressive. If you'd like to try it out for yourself again, of course, there's a handy link down below where you can play the free playtest, running November 28 through December 3rd. So if you're watching this video relatively close to its release, then you'll be able to get on board with that. Otherwise, maybe a wishlist as we look to the future. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.